Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of The X Podcast. It is great to be with you today, however you're joining us, and we've got some friends with us here today, and a special friend across the table. Tommy, how are you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. Podcast natural already. You nailed the intro.
He's got that voice.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Is episode 51 worth having cake again? Or
Yeah.
I think we've done enough cake.
okay,
Actually, this episode is because we've had cake for the last two
that's
episodes.
exactly right.
touche.
And so there's been lots of things going on around church, around our sphere, which has been great. Russ's book. I mean, I think you're about to get physical copies
It
here
is.
in a couple hours.
So we record these on Wednesday, and tomorrow we will receive our first shipment of books. And by the time this hits, it might be on Amazon. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Let's go.
What is that website?
Surreal. HopeForTheWilderness.com, an incredibly creative young man, created it for me.
Nice.
Our own Kevin Illich. But Amazon's the place to go to purchase a copy or 100. So
Yes.
let's do it.
Just 100?
Yeah, why not?
100 copies.
I mean, if you
Oh.
believe in hope, you know.
I hope I have enough money in my bank account to buy 100 of them. Let's put it
That's all I
that
can
way.
say.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, today's going to be an incredible conversation, I hope. I'm just kidding. But we like to talk about all sorts of things on this show, specifically just how to work through life spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and also physically. We've had a couple conversations, or at least alluded to a couple on here. And so today we want to really have a conversation about physical health, and that's why our guest here, Tommy,
We had to get somebody who
the
was
ripped
healthy.
man that he is.
We had to get somebody
Show
on
them
the
just
show
real
who's
quick
like
or
that.
Yeah, put the picture up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But Russ, why don't you just introduce Tommy to us and kind of put him on a tee, and let's get this thing going.
Yeah, so I'll let Tommy give the snapshot, but Tommy's one of those people. When I moved here 3 years ago, I went to Lifetime Fitness because they had him in Georgia, which everybody at church has abandoned me, by the way. You used to go to
Yeah,
Lifetime Fitness.
I got you going there.
Some of our creative team, people on staff, and I would always, I don't know if I told you this, but I would see Tommy from a distance like, man, he's one of those ripped dudes. He's about my size. I need to get on whatever routine he's on.
Wait, he's about yours. What do you mean?
About my height. About my height. Listen.
I love it already.
Hey, I don't. Hey,
How is it
I don't like.
I was surveying the men across the room.
Listen.
And
Listen. I don't like Planet Fitness, but if I could do
Purple
one thing from the
Pansy Gym.
Purple Pansy, is this
Yes.
a judgment-free zone?
You're right. Judgment-free zone.
So-
you know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
So I
Off
used
the
to,
rails already.
I used to be at Lifetime for years, and
I can't
And-
believe you asked.
hold on. I'm sorry.
The
and-
same size.
And there was.
that guy's the same size as me.
Well, I don't know about that.
Zeroed in on
I
him
don't know
and
about that.
Same
Anyways,
height.
Saw him in the sauna, and I was like, man.
So what's funny? I was at Lifetime, and there was a guy that I used to see at the gym. I don't even necessarily. I'll just say that his name is Rick. Okay, and he was
Rick Jones?
No, not Rick Jones. He was everything you can picture about a gym, a person that
Like a
is
gym rat?
wrong.
Oh.
Yes and no. He kind of wanted to be a gym rat, but he really wasn't. And he was the guy that would just literally walk around like this and
He's
play
the guy in the memes.
Yep, and
All the
he
memes,
carries his jug of water, and you're over there working out, and he comes up to you, and he was like, man, I was doing legs the other day, and I had 12 plates on both sides. Oh, my gosh, it was so, like, it's just, all right, dude. I mean, I don't know. So what's funny is there was this guy, and for years, we all, love him, but kind of tried to work out and avoid eye contact, or Rick's coming over to
Jay
see you.
Bowser?
And, no. So I go to the Purple Pansy Gym.
Okay.
That's what we call Planet Fitness, because it was a lot closer to work at the time. And I get in there, and they have this sign on the wall that is called Rick. The guy, if you read the little sign that they put up there about the guy, it's his
They
name.
named the
and
Lunk Alarm Rick?
It's the Lunk Alarm. And his name is Rick. They said that something gym guy Rick, and it describes him to a T. The guy wears the muscles, whatever, and comes and thinks. And I just found it hilarious because I knew the real Rick that Planet Fitness has over their Lunk Alarm.
Yeah. Well,
I set off the Lunk
well,
Alarm.
Guys
a lot,
like that
by the way.
still do exist as well.
Yeah,
do.
he might
They
actually still
still
go to
exist.
Lifetime. I know.
Well, what you described is not Tommy or me, but anyways, long story short, I would see Tommy from a distance for the few years that I went there, and then I guess it was like 6 or 7 months ago. My favorite thing after workout is to get into the sauna. I know some people hate the sauna, but I was getting out of the sauna, and I was sitting on the bench, and he tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Hey, are you the guy that hosts on Sunday mornings?" I was like, "You go to X Church?" He's like, "Yeah, I've just started coming," and so it's so cool. And what was really cool
Was that an awkward conversation?
Russ was
in the
close.
It
sauna?
sounds
I mean,
awkward.
Did you guys have towels
I
on?
was
Yeah,
close.
no, no, he-
I
Yeah.
noticed this guy was at the machine next to me.
Yeah.
He was,
Yeah, I was in the sauna, and all
thought
of a
his name
sudden
was
this
Rick,
hand came over
but it
was
my
Russ.
shoulder, and I just
I called the police.
yeah.
But no, it's been really cool because a ton of people from the gym are actually coming to the church now.
Yeah.
And but it is really cool, the community that's developed, and Tom and I have become friends and hung out, and just a really cool dude. And I would like to, before we dive into how I've had the opportunity to train you,
Yeah.
and all of those kind of things, people are even laughing on that are just listening, but is quick snapshot of your story, however much you want to tell.
how
and,
far back you want me
you
to
know,
go?
I mean, coming from the moment of
Inception.
birth, to just where you were raised, and maybe just a little bit of what brought you to even start
Yeah.
coming here to church, and then of course we'll get into the fitness.
I grew up just in Columbus, Reynoldsburg. We lived there for about 7-8 years, and we moved to Canal Winchester right when I was hitting middle school, I think it was. And I grew up I graduated from Canal Winchester High School in 2002. But
Did you really?
yeah,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You were born when? Was that right
I
after
know
it?
people. Do
Oh.
you know Hasbrook's?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But anyway, fast forward, I got married at age 21, got divorced at age 29, grew up a Jehovah's Witness my whole life. My mom and dad practiced it.
Which interesting, because he asked me last week, and you were listening, and you thought maybe I really was raised Jehovah's
Yeah,
Witness.
yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I always loved being a part of a community, right? I mean, they believe that anybody outside of their churches can lead you away from Jehovah God. So I was never really allowed to hang out with anybody outside of people that believed what I believed. And that just created a very closed-minded way of growing up, and I didn't like that. I just never really sat in church and connected with it. And so, when my divorce went through in 2014, I just kind of reassessed my life. I'm like, obviously, I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect, but I just have not connected with Jehovah God. I love the people that I hung out with, but
I like the way you
just-
described it earlier. You said it's almost like you spent your whole life trying to make the wires.
Yeah, it was close, but it was just like short circuiting left and right. And I talked to my dad, and he tried to kind of like talk me through it. And I'm just like, Dad, I just don't believe this stuff. Like, I don't believe that Christmas is wrong, or that holidays or birthdays are against what the Bible preaches, because there's really no record of anybody saying that we shouldn't celebrate them. So once I got away from that, I literally had to make a whole life change, because when you leave the religion, you lose all your friends.
Wow.
And I maybe retained 2 or 3 people that understood where I was coming from, because they too joined that religion further on in their life. So they have experienced their life from a different perspective. And so I had the desire to, frankly, not to have to go to church every morning, to be able to do whatever I wanted to do for a while. And if I want to connect with Jesus and God, I wanted to do it my way, right? And that just was not allowed.
Yeah.
And so, I used to go to Grace. I went to Grace for a few months, and it was great. Just huge church, you kind of just blended in. I felt like I just kind of walked in and walked out every service. But fast forward to, earlier this year, I was talking to my friend Whitney, and she had posted something about X Church's message, and I said, "Have you ever went there?" And she's like, "I haven't been to the new campus. Do you want to go sometimes?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so we came. Long story short, I just felt like when I walked through the doors, it just has a different vibe to it. And I think a lot of people say that, but it's not just in the feeling of the building. It was like the people that you talk to, and it wasn't like a pressured environment. It felt like it was like there was a lot of fresh air flowing through the building. And even during the service, like I remember the first time I was down here with her, I knew it was going to be loud, and I knew there was going to be a lot of music, because we used to just sing. We all used to sing, and how I grew up, but this was something that I loved.
Yeah.
And
I
so
love that.
I think I've missed one time, and I was in Seattle. Wow. So I've been every Sunday since. And then I joined a small group, a circle. Yeah. But it was thanks to Russ, man. I mean, Russ was the one. He came up to me at the gym. He's like, "Could you I got a great group that I think you'd really love joining." I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like that's just not for me." But me and Whitney both joined the group, and they're some of the people that I talk to the most now that I lean upon. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome. And now joined a serve team.
Joined a serve team. Yeah, just shadowing.
You're gonna be selling the book this Sunday.
Yeah.
You said you're gonna threaten the people that
absolutely
don't buy it. So cool. Where did muscles enter your story? Where did muscles?
So as a kid, I was very thin, very skinny. I'm only about 5'7", 5'8" with shoes on. So I was like 130 pounds when I graduated high school, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm ever going to be able to gain weight. Well, I just started working out when I was 17, 18 years old. And then over the course of time, I was just started tracking everything I was doing, eating more, eating the right things, and it just became a part of my routine that I really loved. I fell in love with the process of it's never going to be perfect.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, you can compare that to, being a servant of Jesus. You're never going to be perfect. Yeah. You can just always try to keep getting better. And it's almost like polishing something. It's like you put the wax on a car at first, it's messy, but the more you rub it down, the shinier it gets. And that's how I felt like my experience with the gym and with church has been. I mean, it's like I'm never going to look in my mirror and be like, man, I got a perfect physique. Yeah, nobody does. And it's got some good things, and you have to keep and bad things, but you have to keep a level head about it because it's, you can get body dysmorphia, things like that.
Well, I was going to say, I like the comparison because I think it is actually kind of a cool comparison between the physical and the spiritual. And I think a lot of times people, when they picture a spiritual journey, they picture it like, I have to be this kind of person, or I have to like live a perfect life, or I have to do whatever. And I like the picture more of, even if you want to physically see something change, it takes work, it takes time, it takes what you put in determines what you get out of it. And I think a spiritual journey is the same way and people don't realize it, And so I just think there's some great parallels. You even see it in the Bible where Paul talks about it, where I discipline my body, for the race, and it's like a fighter and runner. And
I think people give up on both of these things the same way because they pray for something, maybe things don't change, or maybe they work out and they don't lose weight, so they give up. Yeah. A lot of people do that. I think it's very, very interesting because when I was in my 20s, I was doing the Jehovah's Witness thing, and my spirituality just didn't ever feel like it was there. Like today, as I sit here, I feel like I'm a little different than I was a year ago.
Hey, there you go.
And so and it's not physically, it's more spiritually and mentally. And so it's really, really interesting that when you find a place where you really connect, how it feels like things are just kind of like the circuits are tightening up.
Wow, that's cool.
Within your body. Yeah. And you start to go on a little bit of like reserve power if you're getting tired because you have that extra push. And I've also eliminated a lot of things like during my workouts I used to listen to a lot of rap music. I cut out a lot of like cussy rap. I've limited it to like some NF or whatever it is, but it's changed things, and my language has gotten better as well, and so
well, what you put in
Yeah.
will determine what comes out. Yeah. The same thing with your mind, your spirit,
and
your body.
Two things you said, too. I mean, we have no agenda other than just to kind of hear the story, but you said two things already that I just want to highlight because I think, like you said, there's so many parallels. They're powerful for any area of life, is fall in love with the process. Because I think that really is like when you become obsessed with some, especially idealized destination, you just become discouraged. But if you can fall in love with the process, then I think that's where passion comes and you actually see momentum. But the second thing you said it in passing, but I think it's a really powerful principle for any area of life, is you said you started tracking what you're eating. I had a former...
Is that what you do? Do you track what you eat?
When I'm healthy, yeah.
Do you?
When I have a former pastor mentor that always say, you can't manage what you don't measure. And so, I mean, the same thing. The few times in life, when I was like, okay, I need to get my finances in order, I had to actually start measuring it. I had to actually start keeping track of it. Yeah. When I really got in 2016, I had a time where I lost 30 pounds, got in really good shape. I downloaded my Fitness Pal. You know, a couple months ago, everybody got into keto. I downloaded the my, what is it, carb manager, whatever it is. But I just think that's such a powerful two principles: follow the process, and you can't manage what you don't measure. There's power in that. But
Absolutely.
I want to bring up two things. Seems like, in my experience, that the gym is maybe one of the only, this is way too overgeneralized, but maybe one of the only other communities that seems to have the camaraderie that church has.
Yeah.
And that there is, I work out with the
Definitely.
same group of people probably for, probably for 8 or 9 years now. And these are all guys that we're all kind of different ages and different backgrounds and different, physical makeups and all sorts of things. But gosh, it's a great time being in the gym.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
they keep me accountable.
Yep.
Like if I don't show up one morning or I sleep in, man, they are on me, and if they do it, I'm on them. And there's accountability, there's friendship, there's shared mission, goals. I mean, all sorts of things. We celebrate each other when you picked up that amount of weight. We're gonna ring a bell and go crazy for you. And so there's that camaraderie, and there's that in church. And you seem like somebody who you have entered into like a successful community. I mean successful as far as you found it, and you have a community in church, and you have a community at the gym. How important has that been to you? And how, I think so many people are struggling with loneliness, and they feel like they just, no matter how hard they try, they can't find the community of people to belong in. So what would be your advice to them?
I was going to say something exactly to what you said, because if I looked in my life a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, all of my friends are from the gym. My closest friends are from the gym, because you're all working towards the same goal. You all want to be somewhat healthy, but you want to look good and you want to like cheer each other on, right? So, but I think that community just means so much more to me now, because I am a single individual. I don't have people in and out of my house all the time. It's usually me. And so, coming to church or going to my circle or going to the gym, I get that interaction with people that I don't get at home. And so community is what I mentioned, in my video yesterday. It's like, I just feel like so many people take that for granted, and they have their family, but they don't have any community outside their family to help strengthen their family. Because when something goes wrong, people usually call their mom, dad, sister, brother, whatever. But where's the advice coming from? Maybe if they're pastors, maybe it's coming from the Bible. But for me, it's just eye-opening, because once I started coming here and like committing myself to being here every day or every weekend, I started developing close relationships with people that I really never had before. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean,
I think you made an interesting point, though, too, because I think everybody wants, like you were talking about, I think everybody just innately craves a sense of community. Nobody wants to be alone or feel alone or be lonely.
or to belong.
We want to belong.
Yeah.
I think that, and I do think that you get a sense of belonging a little bit in the gym and similar in a church. What I've found is, though, that a lot of people haven't done what you did, which is, I'm going to commit to be faithful. It's like the same thing. When I be faithful to the gym, you build that sense. The same is true in a church community. And I think right now what we have is a little bit of it's kind of a conundrum for people that they want that, yet a lot of times it's not a priority.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want the sense of community, but I'm not going to commit myself to community. You, not only with your friends, but being here every week, you begin to, you meet new people every weekend, you connect with them, then you go deeper into a circle, we call it small groups, and now you're building real relationships, and they become your knit circle. And I think it's a great point, though, that you made, and it's amazing how let's sit down and talk about physical health, and the parallels between that and spiritual health are just ridiculous. And so I just think that a lot of people want the benefits of community, but they're not actually committed to what it takes to experience those in community. And I think that's one thing to me that's important that you just keyed on.
Well, and I think it's interesting, because when my friend Whitney and I had talked that one day, I was like, it's so hard to go into a large building with a lot of people or meet a new community alone.
Yeah.
It's hard to go to a gym by yourself. That's why a lot of people don't join a gym.
Awkward.
It's awkward. You don't really know where
Am I going to be
everything's
judged?
at.
Hey, it's the same thing. Am
Yeah.
I going to be judged?
Yeah.
And
So
that's
it's
what people
like,
feel going to the gym.
when her and I talked about, because like she was always somebody, I'm like, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but this girl, like, she's a pretty girl, but I'm like, we were both sitting there like wanting to kind of talk to each other for some reason. And we talked later on, and she was like, yeah, I always knew something about you is just different. Like, I had a connection to you. And I said, I felt the same way. And it was to bring each other back to church and back to Jesus. It's so crazy because, she comes pretty much every week with me. She's in my circle with me. So it's like, even though I don't have anybody, I'm not married to anybody or have a mate, me and her have really helped each other come back. And, a part of our circle, that's our community. We talk every day. And so
cool.
it's such a cool story because it's like, and until you go through it, you don't understand what somebody else's experience really means.
Yeah.
And it's probably the first time in my life at age 37 that I've been able to experience something like that.
Wow.
Where like I've looked at it and I was like, this makes sense now. A lot more things are kind of like lining up.
Yeah.
And I feel better. Like physically I feel better, mentally, because I've struggled with mental health too, just like anyone else. But I never really understood why. Until I started really studying more, reading more, praying more. I remember laying in bed and praying like, I don't know what I'm praying to. I don't know who I'm praying to, but like, if you hear me, like push me back to you.
Yeah.
And like a few weeks later, we started coming here.
Wow.
Oh.
It's wild, man.
That's crazy.
That really is crazy.
It's wild.
But it's cool because it's the inescapable intentionality of God, right? That you talk about your whole story leading up to it, and that's what's crazy is that God used the gym to bring you back here, which is wild. But really, it's just a picture of God being in every part of your story, and I think that with something like growing up Jehovah's Witness is such a certain way of thinking that it's got to be like you said, a really hard transition to get out of that. So
Well, like to what you said, God probably saw traits of what I needed to serve Him in my desire to go to the gym,
Right.
and to be committed, because it's not easy. It hurts. You sweat and then you're sore. So he saw that I could probably go through that, and He's like, man, I need him back, and I think that's why we were pushed together to our lives, and that's why He brought me here. So
I know a lot of people who actually probably would say that the gym is their church.
yeah.
So, and literally, since kind of stepping away from staff, I get to go early on Sunday mornings to the gym, and I, try to get all these guys. So does another guy that comes here, Jared Carr. We're always, walking out of the gym on Sunday.
Come on.
Hey, come on, in a couple hours we'll see you there. No, I got this going on. But I want to get your perspective. Why does the gym in the community that you'd have outside, does it fall short of meeting the needs of your life on its own, or
It did, because I would be physically fit, but I wasn't spiritually fit.
how so? Tease
My
that out.
my mind just like I would be so concerned about getting my meals in, drinking my shakes, getting my workout in, that I just didn't have another like area of my life that was strengthening the back end. Like I was taking care of like the physical, but I wasn't working on like the inside. Like I looked great on the outside, but I was probably dying inside.
Wow.
That's how I told my friends. I was like, I would ask my friends, "You want to try a church? You want to try a church?" And a lot of my friends, they don't, maybe they don't. It's not they don't believe in God, but they just don't have a desire to go, whatever. But I have some great people in my life that support me going to church.
Yeah.
And I think that it's, if you're lacking in an area in your life, or if you're struggling, I guarantee you a part of that is either prayer or spirituality, or just having a relationship outside of a family life, right? So, a lot of, when you have children, 2 and 3 kids, all your love is so guided.
Yeah.
But if you can pull, Jesus in there, it's a threefold cord, just like they say in the Bible. So I don't know. It is so. It's mind-boggling to me that I would be sitting here talking to you guys about it, because 5, 6, 7 years ago, it wouldn't even have been an option, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think to add to what your question is, I think if we only see ourselves as purely physical, then that in many ways that will seem like enough. I just go to the gym, work out, maybe what I eat, and all this. But if we actually would consider that maybe we're more than just physical, that if there's the mind, which is different than the physical attribute of it, and even what some would say a soul, or the spirit, or whatever, that you can be. I think we can see this, and we're talking about health. You can be healthy in one area, two area, and unhealthy in the other.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
all know that.
Yeah.
We understand it. So the real challenge, I think, for all of us is we all want to be healthy holistically.
Yeah.
We want it mind, body, spirit. And I think what you're just alluding to is, I think, something that, a lot of us feel like when I feel like, man, and physical, I think, is probably for many of us who serve in the church capacity ministry, might be the biggest challenge of them all. We say very consistent spiritually and maybe even emotionally and this, but then physically can be a challenge. Well, did you go to the gym? Are you eating right? Are you doing all those things? I think when they all come together,
Yeah.
that is when we feel the healthiest,
Yeah.
just in general. You feel good about, well, I've been making great choices with what I'm eating. I've been hitting the gym 3-4 times a week. I've been spiritually, I feel more alive than ever,
Yeah.
connected. Emotionally, I'm doing well. When it all comes together, I think we all probably have those moments, and we aren't always in that phase.
Yeah.
But when it all comes together, I think that's when we feel the best.
I got two interesting factoids that I heard about recently that I love to talk about, and they're kind of separate but kind of the same. So, first, I heard, and this makes me think of working out. I heard someone say that they did a study on people to try to figure out through research how Jesus had impacted their life. And so the metric was, how many times a week have you spent time in the presence of God, praying, listening to worship music, reading your Bible, reading a book about spirituality, anything like that. And there was people who spent 0 to 3 occasions with Jesus throughout the week, all had very similar, not much change as far as the rate at which they experienced God. I can't remember the exact wording of the study. But when that number went to 4, the number spiked.
Wow.
And the people said that their life was so different, and they were experiencing God in such a profound way. And I think that also, is my experience more physically too,
Yeah.
as far as working out. That
agree.
that difference of, like, I work out most days of the week, and I work out as much as I can. Like, that's
Wow.
been a
Yeah,
huge.
that's good.
I think it's a parallel in spirituality. The second thing I want to talk about, and whatever you guys feel passionate about, you can tackle. But that Facebook whistleblower came out. Have you seen
Yeah.
videos of that? With that?
Yep. I watched the 60 Minutes episode
What's her
right
name?
before the Facebook
Really?
went down.
Really, the Francis
Yeah.
Francis something is
Yeah.
her name, and she, sharing all this stuff about the inside
She
workings.
captured thousands of images of what she considers evidence of Facebook, basically, knowing that they were doing things that was dangerous socially.
That's what I
that
want to talk about.
Yeah, and
How they figured
that
out that Instagram was that
Instagram was dangerous
Facebook
for
knew
teenagers,
that Instagram was dangerous
teenage
for
girls specifically,
Teenage girls.
and
Yeah.
they still did not change things. At the end of the day, what her argument was that they know some of this stuff, but they're not actually protecting
Right.
because it turns into dollars.
Right. It's profitable.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to talk about, is that, and specifically gym culture, is that when there's such a gym culture on Instagram for
Yeah.
people who even.
You
I
might
would-
need to describe gym culture
going
when
there.
you say on Instagram for people.
It's people who have a
Russ.
following or have a, Russ is familiar with all these guys. And
What do you feel about that?
right, but for an app that's so photo heavy, right?
Yeah.
And so
vanity.
right, vanity,
Yes.
and let's put off a certain image and show everybody our wins and show everybody our fitness and physique, or however you want to put it, CrossFit or bodybuilding, or all these things they fit really well into the Instagram culture. And now knowing, right, that even Facebook, who owns Instagram, has research into Instagram saying that it is damaging. I'd say people who don't even work out probably stop even attempting to go to a gym because they realize, oh, I can never be that. I see what that guy does. I see the way he looks. Or that girl, I see the way she looks in a bathing suit, or I see I could just never do it. And so I just want to know if you guys want to speak to either of those things.
I think that's why you see a lot of so much mental health happening now, because as you know, if you're a 13-year-old girl and you see this 25-year-old woman that's in shape, got fake stuff everywhere, a girl would look at that and say, I'm never going to be that pretty. And so that's where depression sets in, and let alone like relationship stuff. You get to see where your ex-boyfriend's liking pictures of somebody else, and that's why, like, for me, and for the fitness community in general, like for me, I've really tried to compartmentalize social media as much as I can. And now it's like it's funny because you'll talk about something. I'll search something on Google. It'll pop up on my phone on an ad.
Yep.
So they know the audience that they have, whether it's social media or Facebook or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, in the fitness community, your appearances makes you millions of dollars. Yeah. And so, I know people that their business is completely Instagram. They have brand deals where they, put out a product and they try to help, push that product. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not good, but it's a way that a lot of fitness people make a living, especially not being able to travel around and go to these expos, because that's what used to happen is people would go to these expos and they would, sell their products there, but that can't happen anymore. So an online presence is more important than any, but it's an extremely dangerous place for everyone, because anybody can look at a picture of a husband, wife, 2 kids in front of their porch that's edited nice, has pumpkins everywhere, they're wearing white and tan, and it's a tall, good-looking guy, cute blonde girl, and 2 perfect kids, and think, man, I want my life to look like that. Why don't I look like that? So I think it's really extremely important to tread lightly with that and just understand that, it's highlights. Nobody wants to hear about a picture of you and your husband getting into a fight. Nobody's gonna like that picture. But a lot of people base their success and their happiness around likes and comments and interaction, engagement. But
where
crazy.
do you feel like? Because it's almost like it seems like it'd be a catch-22. If I got to decide, first of all, as an individual, where my identity comes from, where my validation comes from, and then on the flip side, it seems like there's probably guardrails I need to put up to protect, like you mentioned, even just you're very careful in how you steward social media. I'm curious your thoughts too on like how important is it, or is this something that you have to think through, or that at one point you had to think through, of internalizing your actual motivation for the gym? Because it can be really easy to say, I'm going to go because of vanity, or I'm going to go because I'm the land of comparison of social media and the gym, and I'm never feeling good enough. I guess are there tips that you would give of, no, here are healthy motivations for your health and your fitness and your longevity, or to go into the gym?
I would say that my motivation comes internally. I think we talked about the gym last night for a few minutes, but it's like I don't look at somebody that looks really good and say, I want to look like that person, so I'm going to go to the gym right now and do 20 rounds of bicep curls. I don't do that, but I do think that they're being in an atmosphere where people are moving around, all kind of doing the same thing. It's motivating because it's motivating because everybody's on the same path. It's much like church.
Yeah.
You don't look around where anybody in here is kind of like, I hate this guy. I don't know why I'm here. You know what I mean? But it's like when people are in the gym, everybody's trying to get in shape and to be fit to a certain extent,
Right.
or they just want to feel good because
The environment almost propels you forward.
yeah, fitness isn't always is not all about the way you look. It's how the way you feel, and that's why you see a lot of people that have gone to the gym 15 years and they look the same.
Yeah.
But they may be better, like mentally.
That's good,
because
Is he talking about me? What's
Talking about me right
no,
now.
it
Talking about
definitely,
me.
no. And it may not be something where it's physical. Maybe it's something that the level of serotonin that you release at the gym. It helps you sleep better.
Yep.
It helps your moods. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It gives you confidence. And so I think the biggest barrier for people that don't go to the gym regularly is just thinking that other people are judging them, when I can assure people nobody
not.
else looks at
No.
you. And there may be a few, there's always somebody, maybe if you engage somebody in eye contact, they want to say hi to you or whatever. But
They're not
We're
judging you
all-
like you think.
No, they're
Everybody
not.
feels
They're
judged
not.
when they
I don't
go
know
to the
about you
gym.
guys,
Absolutely
but what you just got to is one of the things that I want to spend some time in. I actually think it's worth it to wrap up this episode and do a part 2 where we get deeper into the actual physical fitness and how that intersects with mental health. Want to do it?
we're going to get Russ on video
You want to get the
doing a full workout.
Oh, once I get back in
Yes.
shape. You want
Once
to
I
do
get
that?
back in-
Well, let's close it out. Thank you for everybody who has joined us for this part 1 episode with Tommy Dawson. We're excited to get to part 2, so make sure you click over to the next one. We'd love to continue this conversation. But as always, thanks for liking and sharing and subscribing and commenting and sending us emails. We love you all. You can send us an email anytime, podcast@dx.church. And we'll see you for part 2.